Hey, welcome! Today we're diving into something super interesting, the invisible code that's running our lives. We're going to break down how our internal mental systems can either keep us stuck or become the absolute engine that rockets us to success, especially in the digital world.
So let's just jump right in with a question I'm sure a lot of us have asked ourselves at some point. Why is it that sometimes hard work just stops working? You know the feeling, right? It's so frustrating. You're putting in the hours, you're ambitious, you're learning all the new things, but your career just hits this wall. You get stuck on what's called a performance plateau. And the key insight here? It is rarely, and I mean rarely, about a lack of effort. So what do we usually do when we get stuck? Well, we double down. We think, okay, I just got to work harder. We pile on more hours, we learn more tactics, but there's a totally different way to look at this. Instead of just cranking up the effort, what if we upgraded the system itself? The internal rules that are running the whole show.
And that brings us to this really powerful metaphor, your invisible operating system. It's such a great way to frame the challenge because you start to realize, hey, the problem isn't the user, that's you, it's the code.
So what are these mental systems exactly? Well, think of them as the invisible code running your behavior in the background. And here's the thing, this isn't software you chose to install. It got written totally unconsciously over years and years by your past experiences, your environment, and all the people around you.
And this is the crucial part. Just like any software, your day-to-day behavior just follows these rules automatically. It's basically an autopilot system that's dictating most of your decisions and actions, a lot of the time without you even noticing.
But here is the fantastic news. Software can always be updated. So let's get into 5 specific upgrades for your mindset. I want you to think of these as essential patches you can install for your own personal operating system.
All right, our very first upgrade is all about redefining your performance limits.
This brings up the idea of a performance ceiling. We all have one. It's this invisible range of what our internal system thinks is normal. For example, maybe there's a content creator who's totally fine getting 10,000 views, but the second a video starts to go viral beyond that, they get anxious and maybe even self-sabotage. That right there is the performance ceiling in action. When we start to succeed beyond that range, our behavior just unconsciously yanks us back into our comfort zone.
And this brings us right to the solution. As our source material puts it so well, growth requires changing the internal system, not just increasing effort. See, you can keep pushing against that ceiling all day long, but to really, truly break through it, you've got to raise the ceiling itself.
Okay, so how do you even begin to change that internal system? Well, that leads us straight to our second upgrade, interrupting all that automation with a little bit of awareness.
The huge majority of what we do every single day is just pure habit. It's just running on autopilot. An unconscious pattern will just keep repeating and repeating. But the very second you become aware of that pattern, boom, you interrupt the loop. That is the magic step, because once you can see it, you can finally make a conscious choice to do something different. So once you're aware of your patterns, you need some data to help you make better choices. And this leads to our third patch, installing feedback loops.
I mean, think about it. No software, no machine, no complex system in the world ever gets better without data on how it's performing. The exact same thing goes for us. We can't just guess our way to improvement. We have to get intentional feedback, whether that's from performance data, a mentor you trust, or even just a structured self-review. That's what creates that powerful cycle for continuous improvement.
Now this next one, upgrade number 4, is, well, it's arguably the most profound and powerful of them all. It's time to upgrade your core identity.
So often, we set these big new goals, but we try to achieve them while being the exact same person, right? Using the same old behaviors. And it doesn't work. The argument here is that real, sustainable progress comes from acting in alignment with the person you want to become. You start making your daily decisions based on your future identity, not your current one. And let me tell you, that's when real transformation starts to happen.
And finally, our 5th upgrade zeroes in on the very thoughts that drive your entire system, changing your core questions.
The questions that are running through your mind are incredibly powerful because they literally direct your focus. So if you're always asking, why can't I figure this out? Your brain is just going to look for evidence to prove you right. But what if you shift the question to something like, okay, what's one small step I can take right now? You get completely different, way more constructive answers. Your questions literally shape your action.
So, we've installed the patches, the upgrades are in. What does it actually look like when you're running this new code? Let's take a look at the upgraded OS in action.
This table just lays out the transformation so clearly. You're moving from just plain guesswork to data-driven feedback loops. You go from being stuck in old habits to being pulled forward by new goals. Instead of making big decisions based on fleeting emotion, you're using real performance data. And you stop chasing that short-term validation and you start aligning everything you do with your long-term identity. It's a total shift.
Which brings us to what might be the most empowering takeaway of this whole thing. You are the developer.
So, let's just bring this all home. The big things to remember are, your performance limits are usually internal, not external. Awareness is the key that unlocks you from those automated behaviors. Feedback is basically just analytics for your personal growth. And crucially, you have to upgrade your identity before you can expect to see sustained results. Because let's be real, repeating old systems will always produce the same old outcomes.
And this final quote just wraps it all up perfectly. A digital mindset prioritizes system upgrades over temporary motivation. Look, motivation is great, but it comes and goes. A well-designed internal system that endures.
And that leaves us with one final powerful question for you. Your entire future is running on the mental code you have installed today. So, what's the first upgrade you're going to make? That's it for this one. Thanks for tuning in.